Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. Tonight, we're going to go more in depth with the tool with some further discussion on the things in the default tray that really require a little bit more time. So, for today, we will be talking about materials. This is a very important part of uh, making your scenes much more realistic and architectural. So let's head on over to the classroom. We have our 12 minutes on the ready, and let's see what we can get for it today. All right, so let's turn this on and start with our uh, ever reliable Mark here. So right now, you can see that he has a shirt and some pants with different materials each. So you can see that his shirt is this blue thing right here, but what's this white one? So it's a Mark shirt 2 that is really targeted on that position only. Now, how did that come to be? Let's find out if there's some magic that's happening here, or that's just some, yep, it's basically hidden geometry. So it's written there, and you can actually select these parts here that are colored properly. So this type of texturing is, well, it's an effective one when uh, when you're trying to be really specific like that. But oftentimes you won't be able to be that specific because you'll be working with organic materials, uh, such as the ones in this collection right here. Can't really identify a super specific pattern on something unless you do it uh, by using something like this, an alpha map and a diffuse map. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So these are uh, material maps, basically. That's what we want to call them in 3D jargon. And the idea behind them is they're supposed to be seamless. Like when you put this 47 here, and it should be when you tile them up against each other and up and down, they should be, you should not be able to tell where the first one stops and the next one begins. When that happens, whenever that happens, it sort of gives away that your image is just a three-dimensional representation. If you're able to remove that, it allows you to show more realism in your scene. So, what are the things that would make sure that your scene is actually realistic? So, first, SketchUp has these default built-in materials. Like they have color materials, landscaping. Let's try out some metals here. So this is a metal steel textured white. Let's try it on the top of this box here. And you can see that if we put Mark here over on top of this, it's scaled properly to his feet. So let's check out the settings for this. This is one of the ways on how you get to learn about a material. You examine them. So let's go to edit and see the settings on this particular metal steel textured white. So it uses a default texture image here, and it has a very specific uh, value. It's 152 millimeters. That's half inch. That's half a foot. So this image, this one in particular, is in reality half a foot in this direction and half a foot in the X direction. So if you have the knowledge on that material, on any specific material, uh, you can much more effectively use it inside of SketchUp. So let's check out another. Uh, let's try a stone material here. Let's try this marble down here at the front. So it's uh, it's, it's fairly different, and it doesn't seem, while it looks seamless. I can see a line forming right here, and you can probably tell also there. So let's see the settings for this particular material by going to edit once more. So the stone marble is actually uh, 1.2 meters high by 1.2 meters long. So it's quite big. That means it's bigger than this square right here. And we can actually see that by, so right now we're holding the fixed element, and we can right click on that and explore the texture, and its position right here. So we can see immediately that this, where these points are, is the extent of this texture. So it's unique up until the next uh, tile here, and you can see that it's completely seamless. So it ends here and begins where it ends. Same going up. So you want your materials to be like this. Now, this particular control, when you're in this texture control level, you have four options here. You have a rotation and scale pin. You have a movement pin, a shearing pin, and a distortion pin. So what do these do? For example, if we use this move pin, it just moves around the texture to whatever location you want. So even if we put it right over a line, four lines, you can see that it's still pretty seamless. So this is a really nice texture that SketchUp has given us. But you'll probably be wanting to use a very specific texture that you can get from your supplier. The rotation pin, as its name suggests, allows us to rotate this texture, but be wary because this is also the scale pin. So when you hold this, and while you're rotating, you move it inside like that, it becomes smaller. So it scales while you're moving that. So you don't want it to be scaling actually. So, but that's how you move it if you want it rotated, because sometimes you need it to be rotated. But rule of thumb is, if you already know how the rotation is supposed to be, your material should already be rotated from your base image file, not inside of SketchUp. Now we have also a distortion pin here that just basically gives you a sort of distortion effect. So it distorts the rectangle that your texture comes effect. That that effect. You can do it here. Shearing is like a moving 2 points at once, but it's basically a just a different kind of distortion. So shearing is like non-uniform scaling, unlike this below and this move here. But if you just want to move it, you don't actually need to go to the spin. You can just bring it wherever you need to. Okay, so that's the advanced control um, for when you're already in this entity level of the object. So as we can see in this context menu, we can also flip it left or right, up or down. We can reset the texture to go into its default when it was just put in there. And then let's just say we're done with that and we want that texture there. So let's try and create a new texture by pressing this and see if we can achieve that much of a uh, niceness. So this is 1.2 meters, 4 feet by 4 feet. Right now our box is you need to know the size of your things. Our box is around 792 by 900. So let's find one of the textures that I was showing you earlier. Texture text. And then what you want to do is look for a texture image. So we'll go with uh, let me find one pictures. There's not one pictures in OneDrive. No, let's just put one here using this library that is present here. So I would say let's use this cement. So the 12 minutes is up. Let's just complete this creation tutorial and we could call it an evening. So let's use this clay color copy. Identify right off the bat how big this is. So what you want to be doing is let's analyze it. Like if each clay tile was 4 inches uh, across. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 4 is 48 inches. How many is that? 4 feet, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is a 4 by 4 feet tile. So let's identify that 4 feet is, so we want it to be the same. So let's remove the lock and then tell it to be 4 feet. Here's 1220 and then relock it. So let's try on this texture on this space and that should be scaled accordingly. When you're, for example, just walking on the roof, that should be a proper scale for not connected to that. That should be properly scaled to our human right there. And so when we check it out, it should be passing over 45. So it's way bigger, and that should be a proper scale for this specific texture. So you want to be knowledgeable about how to actually scale things in real life and when you're translating it to textures for SketchUp. And that would inevitably make the final image that much more realistic. Okay, so I think that's it for tonight, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Goodbye.